So I sit down to record this podcast at night. I never record late. I'm a morning guy. And I look at the time, and it's 9:11. And it's just so fitting for everything we're about to talk about over the next few months, because I've gotten to a part of the research. The research. The French. And it's so insane when you actually figure it out. I've gotten to a point I don't think anyone has really gotten to, and it is 911 time. This is so fitting. The synchronicities are crazy. But I'm going to tell you a story first. Back in the Old Testament, there was a prophet, and his name was Elijah. Now, Elijah was kind of an a-hole. Elijah was a tell-it-like-it-is kind of guy. And he walked into the king's palace. His name was King Ahab, and he said, there's going to be no rain because of Israel's sin and because you're worshiping false gods. And Ahab was like, get the fuck out of my palace. Who are you? You bozo, you ugly freak. Who are you? I don't even know your name. I don't know who you are. And Elijah was like, I'm Elijah, bitch. And King Ahab was Killing all of the prophets at the time. And he couldn't touch Elijah because Elijah didn't give an SHID. So what ends up happening, Elijah goes through all these adventures. He raises some lady's kid from the dead, necromancy, like P. Diddy. Okay, we'll get there. Don't worry. He's being fed by ravens. He's living in the desert, and ravens are bringing him food. Okay. Elijah's wild. Elijah, then what he does is he challenges 450 priests of Baal. Okay, remember Baal? He's that guy. He's like Moloch, name change, And he challenged them to a test, and he says, we're gonna do a sacrifice. We're gonna prepare a sacrifice, but only the true God will send fire, because back in the day they did burnt sacrifices, right? And funnily enough, the priests got to like eat the meat, and it's kind of a scam. I don't know. It's pretty funny. Anyways, so the prophets of Baal are trying to get fire to come down to light their sacrifice, and nothing is happening. But then Elijah, boom, he prays, a tunnel of fire comes from heaven, and it consumes everything. And then this is what Elijah does. He orders the 450 priests to be executed. And they are. They're killed. Now, I want you to think about what this looks like. There are 450 men. And remember, if we think about, like the book Leviticus, right, which is the book of laws in the Old Testament. It's a part of the first 5 books of the Bible. It's a part of the Torah. This is called the Torah. Now, the reason Leviticus mentions no tattoos, as well as no scarification, no scarring yourself, is because the cultists of Baal, or the Baal worshippers, they would cut themselves. They needed to draw blood in order for Baal to do any woo-woo, to do the woo-woo, right? So they're cutting themselves. They're bleeding and screaming, and they're trying to get their offering consumed with flame by the dirty, dirty Molochian Baal, Moloch Baal. And guess what? It doesn't happen. So they're wailing and they're freaking out. They're just freaking losing their minds. Joker reference. And nothing happens. And then one guy is legitness. That was legitness. And he hits it, boom, fire. Now, that is how the truth works. one person telling the truth is able to upset hordes and hordes of people who are worshiping and into fake things. Now, I've been doing a new video series called Comment Scribe, where I sort of kind of highlight this. And people's reactions to the things that I say are being highlighted in that. And I'm uploading more to YouTube, and I'm kind of trying to make what I'm doing more accessible to people because of the things I've been discovering going on in the music industry. And it's not like, whoa, pedogate, necromancy. It's nothing like, I don't have a document that has, every one of Drake's pizza orders. I don't have that. That's not what I'm getting at. But what I've gotten to this part of this process where I have figured out what they're doing and how they are doing it. And it is so nefarious and so crazy that the only way to really enlighten people is to appeal to a broader audience. And that means working harder and making I sound like a fucking freak, and making some things more free, I guess, and kind of lightening up a bit. I'm a little bit intense. And the thing with that, I have to reference Matthew 7:6. Matthew 7:6 says, "Don't give what is sacred to dogs. You don't give pearls to swine." And I'm not calling you guys swine or the listeners swine or anybody who likes I'm not calling you guys anything. What I'm saying is sometimes there are people who really don't appreciate anything, really. Anything besides the things in their mind that they have created these parasocial relationships with. And what I have figured out is how that is happening, how that is operating. And man, the modus operandi is so crazy with it. And we have to fix it, and I have to fix it. And I'm at the part where I have to be very careful because now it's getting sticky. It's getting sticky, folks. It's getting very sticky. And I'm going to be on a very large platform soon discussing it. We're not going to get there yet, but we will start touching upon it. And this is the reason, because of this is the reason I have decided to start doing things like Comment Scribe. That's on my YouTube. And also, like, the Project Oracle. So, Project Oracle is my esoteric project. Now, the thing with Project Oracle is, like, I want to approach it in a correct way. And the reason I want to approach it in such a specific, correct way is because esoteric knowledge and dealing with the occult, and not even just the occult, right? Occult, if you don't know, occult just means hidden. Okay, I'm not like doing devil stuff. I'm not doing anything. I'm teaching people about it, right? But like, in order to do it, it is so nuanced, and all of it is such a fine line, because you're literally dealing with like magic, quote unquote magic. And just like the cultists of Baal, right? If you talk about it in a way that is not very accurate and very poignant, you can like piss people off. And when you piss people off who are into the occult, they will curse you. So Not that I care. 54:17. Right? No sword again, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, right? But like my point is I want to do it right, because anything worth doing, you want to do it right, and it takes a lot of work. And so I will now be doing Project Oracle and releasing essays probably weekly, and I'm going to be doing this. So this is the Izzy show. This is Izzy's world, right? We had the Couch Philosopher for a long time, and the Couch Philosopher is great, but it was kind of a character, and you know, it's not what it needs to be. I'm still going to do the call-in show eventually. If you knew what I was dealing with, you would be sympathetic as to why I have not been doing that. I would talk about it, but there are legal things involved where I cannot. So, I have to do some work around with some of that stuff. So if you guys could give me a little bit of grace with that, that would be wonderful. But the Project Oracle has to be approached in a very delicate and proper way, and it's just a ton of work. But seeing the way the people that run the music industry, and very specific people who are the tastemakers, who are the people who get you to like stuff, the people who, if their name is on it, you will listen to it. The people who are handling the magic side of an album, right? That is what I've been studying and what I've been getting into. And just like there was 450 priests of Baal, there needs to be an Elijah. And if there's not, and if there's, it would be an injustice for me to not at least try to let people know what's going on and how it's going on. Because it's really crazy, and it's already like happening. Like I don't really know how, I don't know how to fully explain it without already kind of doing it, which I'm going to be doing it on a much bigger platform, which is why I'm saving it. But there is like another like Aleister Crowley being created right now. And I'm seeing it, and it's very crazy. It's like this person has somehow gotten like into the upper echelons of the music industry in a way that I don't understand, and in a literal like manifesting way. And it is just really, really crazy. Like it would literally be like if I was working with, let's just say hypothetically, like I was working with a Catholic priest on like an album. You would be like, oh, there's probably like Christian themes in the album, right? Or whatever. What is being done, it's so fucking crazy, man. It's so crazy. It's like I'm going to be honest. Like I was going a month ago, I was going to be done. I was not going to do any more podcasts. I really wasn't. I was done. I'm kind of burned out from podcasting. I've been doing podcasting for like 5 years, right? I don't really value telling everybody what I think anymore. I kind of like a little bit of privacy now, but this is too important. It's too important to blow the whistle. It's too important to get this stuff out there. So we have to do it. So that being said, that was like a 15-minute diatribe on what's going on, why I'm doing this again. I don't know. But there you go. That's that's what it is, and that's where we're headed, baby. That's where we're going. So, if you know what Topster is, Topster is a website that is like super big on 4chan's music board, and it's basically you've probably seen it before. It's like it basically charts out your like favorite albums, right, or whatever. You can say, coolest albums ever. These are my fave. And there's always like the same 10 albums. And I've been noticing there's one album that is always on these Topster charts. And I'm like so intrigued by this because I'm like, why is Magdelena Bay Imaginal Disc on every single one of these? This is so bizarre. So when I start noticing a pattern, I start skitzing, baby. So I'm like, what the fuck? What is this? So I listened to the album. It is mid at best. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's not bad. It's not like, when I say I don't get it, it means I don't get the hype. I don't see what's special about it. It's like something Anthony Fantano would love, which means the Mew board is probably going to be obsessed with it, right? And it has this really, really specific album cover, and it's like it looks like a demon is placing a disc into a woman's forehead. Now, when I start researching this, I'm like, this is super interesting. And I talked earlier in the first 15 minutes of this, the very beginning, I talked about synchronicities, and I'm like, oh, it's 9/11 when I started recording this. The synchronicities just keep hitting, because as soon as I'm researching this group, all of a sudden, someone messages me on Instagram, and they tell me, you should look into this group, Magdelena Bay. And I'm like, okay, I'll check it out, whatever. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's weird. This person then sends me more and more info, and it all clicks. And this is just all coming together so fucking crazy. And they have these really weird, bizarre music videos. And the music videos are all just strange. Like, one of them, the person like drapes human, like what looks like human skin on like a clothing rack. And it's all this bizarre, witchcrafty things. So we look into it, and of course, they are inspired directly by none other than Marina Ambramović. Now, when we talked about Marina in the past, remember, we have all of these long theory videos on my Patreon. If you want to watch them, where I fully source all of this. Now, Marina is heavily into the occult, obviously. And it's just every time, man. Like, it's just too perfect. It's just too fucking perfect. So we have a Magdelena Bay long theory coming up soon, because of course they're associated with Marina. They want to party with Marina. Please, baby. Give me some of that sweet, sweet blood, right? That's what they do. It's what they all do. It's every time. And you know what? Interestingly enough, speaking of, I guess we're just on this will be our little music tangent, huh? In addition to the Magdalene, I don't know how do you say it, Maggie Bay. In addition to Maggie Bay, code words. We got code words on Izzy's world. In addition to Maggie Bay, we have more information on Tyler, the Creator. And like I said with the 9/11 synchronicities, another one came up. So if you know, I was just recently on my friend's podcast, My Family Thinks I'm Crazy. Shout out to my boy Mark. If you know, you know. So I am talking to Mark. We talk about Tyler the Creator, and we kind of talk about, like, you know, what I talked about in the long theory. We talk about the ring. We talk about all that stuff. Now, guys, obviously the ring, I know that's kind of a far out idea. I know that. I know. I know. Okay. But this is the interesting thing. So if you remember, I spoke a lot about Tyler the Creator and his connection to Aleister Crowley. Now, there's the photo of Tyler wearing the Aleister Crowley t-shirt. Odd Future shows used to have big banners with Aleister Crowley on them. And it's very, very interesting because, like, I had known of Crowley from Zeppelin and from Zeppelin and from, like, Black Sabbath, but I didn't really know much about him until fairly recently, if I'm being completely honest. Like, there were people who were, like, into him in college because I was a philosophy major, blah blah blah. Right? Some people consider him a philosopher. I kind of don't. But the interesting thing with this is someone messages me again and brings up more connections to Tyler and Aleister Crowley. So if you remember in Call Me If You Get Lost, Tyler the Creator's character is named Tyler Baudelaire. Now, Baudelaire is a French poet. Now, if you remember, I talk about how there was that individual who did that super, like, 9-hour breakdown talking about how Tyler the Creator was referencing the French poet Baudelaire, which was, like, Tyler the Creator said it was, like, not true. He's like, I based it off of the Lemony Snicket characters. But an interesting connection, Aleister Crowley, okay, Crowley actually translated a book by Baudelaire. So we have another strange connection through that, right? Like, how many times are we going to allow these coincidences and happenstances? When do you go from being somebody who's excited about Maggie Bay being in your Topster because you're a drainer to saying, wow, that's actually kind of a weird connection? So what he translated, what Crowley translated for Baudelaire, or not for him, but what his work he translated was the poem of Hashish. So in the 1840s, Charles Baudelaire was a regular member of the infamous Club des Hashishans, Club of the Hashish Eaters. Hashish is weed. A Parisian literary group dedicated to the exploration of altered states of consciousness, principally through the use of weed, hashish. Other notable members of the group include Victor Hugo, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So, there you go. Another connection between Baudelaire or Tyler and Crowley. So that's like 4 now? 3 or 4? I don't know how many is enough. Like, I don't know how many is enough before it's not called reaching, you know? But I don't know. It's very interesting. It's very, very interesting how that works, man. I don't know. We also have some more news in regards to these people, right? These fine people, the fine people hoax. We have Chappell Roan. Now, first of all, I got to give it to her. She's caked up. Didn't know that. Saw a video. Didn't know that. So, Chappie, you're in a couple points in my book. If you want to watch the Chappell Roan long theory, where I do a complete breakdown proving that she is a Nepo baby and she's probably not a homosexual, you can go to my Patreon, patreon.com/IzzyandGriffin. So, here's the deal. Chappie made the... What are we going to call this? Is it a... Oh, it's not an homage. It's their Mecca. It's their Mecca. She went to a Rick Owens show, and she sat right with Michelle Lemmy, who I've also done insane deep dives on and proved that she is into ritualistic magic and she is a Thelemite and all of this other stuff. All sourced, all fully sourced for you new people, because this is on YouTube. So she's a Thelemite, you know, and Chappie's sitting right next to her, just enamored. Oh yes, oh Michelle, another Parisian. You know, she's in the fucking club of hashish probably as well. And it's so funny because she's like doing like this like little fake freaky interview, and she's like saying how I love fecal matter. I love the group fecal matter, which is like the group that, you know, Rick Owens' band, where he literally shoves people's hair into his anus. You know, she's like, I'm obsessed with fecal matter. It's like so bizarre and insane. And she made her trip. She did the Mecca trip. She bent that knee, and it's so obvious, like what she wants and what she's going for and what they want out of her, right? What they want out of her. This is like the more really where it's at, what they want out of her. And it's so crazy because I watched a video of her performing Pink Pony Club, which we're about to get into, in this sort of like amphitheater, like an outdoor amphitheater. And it felt so like innocent and kind of not pure. Yeah, kind of pure. Like she was like young and she hadn't really made it yet, even though she was already signed. She signed a record deal when she was just a teenager. So, you know, it really has gotten away from her, and it has completely taken on a life of its own in a way that completely contrives like what she really intended to do and what she kind of set out to do. Here, we're actually going to watch Chappie's little thing here. So let's go ahead and pull that up real quick.
Hello, I'm Chappell Roan. We're at the Yoji show in this beautiful city hall. My favorite show so far is probably Rick Owens. It's a tie between Rick Owens and Fecal Matter. I cried at both. So I love the weird girlies. I love feeling strange.
It's so performative. It's so funny how not real it is. You know, I really am at this point where I am maximizing. I'm grace maxing. I'm fucking grace maxing my ass off. I'm trying to give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to give people as much grace as I possibly can. And at this point, my brain is beginning to get foggy with how much grace. Literally right now, I'm literally blinking and my eyes are literally glazing over. Literally, grace is emanating. I'm so graceful. But it's so fake and performative. I love this strain. Like, and then her watch, she looks like a goose. She looks like she's trying to maximize her jawls while she's watching the Rick Owens fashion show. It's so bizarre and fake and performative. And if you remember when we went over the Rick Owens fashion shows and what those are really is they truly are black masses. Like literally, Owens literally has them reflect Catholic mass processions. He states this. I have the quotes. He states this because he grew up Catholic and he's inverting it. It's an inversion, which is all what certain types of occultic esotericism are when you're dealing with that kind of thing, right? So it's daunting, it's exhausting, and that's just Chappie. That's just Chappie. Pink Pony Club. Pink Pony Club. I'm at the Pink Pony Club. You know, discussing the parasocialites and the individuals whose identity becomes a product of what they consume, right? Holy Spirit activate. Let's go, baby. Come on. Pink Pony Club is a parasocial cucking. It is literally a cucking of your life. The song, it's a good song. I think it's catchy. I've sang it before, okay? But it's literally when you listen to Pink Pony Club, you're not picturing yourself at the Pink Pony Club. You're picturing Chappell Roan at the Pink Pony Club. And that is what it is intending to do. I have a video about this. I have a video coming out about this in the next few days. But it is literally a parasocial interaction through Chappell Roan. You are virtual. It's like virtual reality Chappell Roan simulator. Even the lyrics, I do a lyrical breakdown in this video that I'm going to be dropping. And the very lyrics are, you're going to picture me at the Pink Pony Club. She's talking about you picturing her there, not you being there. Have you noticed that is what this is all culminating into? The music industry is being interfaced, okay, via the internet. And the music industry is literally a vassal to plug you in to this web, like the World Wide Web. It's literally plugging you in to a spider web, and you're literally in the web being sucked dry by mommy music industry. I'm telling you right now. It's you always see like I always see these comments on TikTok, and it's like, it's an energy harvesting ritual. It's literally energy harvesting ritual. Look, I want you to look at like the contemporary music fan. Like, go read like a Playboy Cardi like comment thread. And this is why Comment Scribe is going to be a very important video series. People try to talk like Cardi in the comment sections. I talk about this phenomena as well with Tyler, the Creator. When many of you are probably too young for this, but when Tyler, the Creator first came out, I'm talking like, well, 2009, right? But like, I'm talking like 2013, when he was still not underground, but he was mainstream, but like cool skaters liked him. So you were cool if you liked him, right? Tyler, the Creator, used to do this thing where he would type in all caps. He would type in all capital letters. And if you went to his comment section, everybody was typing in all capital letters like they were Tyler, the Creator. They were talking like Tyler, right? And so what is happening is these occultists, and we're going to, oh man, I can't wait to break all this down. They are turning people into whatever they want them to be. If this is, it is like MK Ultra on steroids. It's like, it's not even like, I can't even emphasize enough how dark and twisted and fucking horrible it is. Like, it's magic. It's literally magic. It is parasocializing to a degree that we've never experienced, right? Because like, think about this, right? Like in the 1960s, right, when Elvis would go up and fucking do, oh yeah, baby, shake his hips. Yeah, you at least had people like going to go see Elvis, or they were like buying an Elvis record and interfacing it in a way that it was like real. Like you had an actual album you had to touch and physically go buy. And now they've created all these ethereal tools to where you don't like realize the actual severity of like what's happening. It's all a like subtle washing of like, oh, like, subscribe, cool, turn up volume, everything, like every interface tool is it's so subtle and it's like so subversive. And remember, like when I would talk about this in the past, the subversiveness was always my problem. And now that I see how subversive it truly is, because I have gotten to the bottom of this certain canyon and seeing it and seeing my points be proven in like such a way that if you deny it, the cognitive dissonance is like too much that there's nothing I could say. And that's the point that is like, that is the point where I almost didn't want to podcast anymore, or like I didn't want to, like not keep doing this, but like that's where the Matthew 7:6 thing came of like, I can't keep throwing the truth to people who just like don't give a shit. But the thing is, once the hole got deeper and I really saw it even more, I really saw like Chappell Roan at, like being fed lines by handlers to say she loved fecal matter. Like when I really saw it, it was like, oh, I have to. This is my calling. I have to. There's no other choice. There's no other choice. It's, it is that. It is that has to be done. There's no other way. Because they are leading people to absolute ruin and empty scrolling, emptiness, empty consumption. Empty consumption. It's literally the Homer Simpson donut fucking toy. Like when Homer Simpson is in hell and they're just feeding him donuts eternally. It's like, it's almost like this weird, like the music industry has become almost this weird form of gluttony but it's ethereal. So it's like, if a guy has 50,000 records, you're like, that guy likes music. It's like kind of crazy. Right. I don't know. Maybe I'm, but here's the thing. I say all this and then there's going to be a comment that's just like, it ain't that deep. It ain't that deep. Comment Scribe. See, and I think Comment Scribe truly is going to be something that it'll be good because people like comment on the internet, and I do this. I literally do this. This is how I know. Like this is honestly me kind of projecting, because people comment on the internet like thinking, not that there's no repercussions, but that like just that like what they say doesn't matter. Like I've literally, like I understand the things I say and do can be controversial or make people upset, but like there are times where I've read the comments and it's like ruined my week, not week, day. And it's like, we gotta just, we're in this together, bro. Like, I don't know. It blows my mind. It boggles my mind that people would defend like Lana Del Rey, right? She is a spider queen. She is like going to suck everything she can out of your wallet. That's what she does. Like, that's what these people do. And remember, like, there's literally a magic to money. Money represents like time. When you go to work and you're paid $10 an hour, $20 an hour, and then you spend those tickets to go see Chappell Roan, you're exchanging your time. The only thing you truly have. Right? But here's the thing, even with that, at least you're going to go see Chappell Roan. See, and that's where this weird dichotomy of it all, that's where this like weird thing is coming about with like my philosophy on like consumption, right, of like the music industry. is like if you're like if at least if you're going to a show, you're going. You know, like I feel like I've noticed this with myself, like because my work is on the internet, I've become consumed by the internet, and it's super problematic, and I have to get that balance back. And I think that that's what I'm trying to help people with, because there's no balance right now. There's no balance. Like if you have an artist that if someone critiqued them, you would go to war in a comment section with, that is not normal. That's like super not normal, you know, like I don't know. I kind of digress on this point. I'm kind of beating a dead horse here. Let's move on. We're going to move forward here. We're actually not going to move forward here. We're going to continue to beat this dead horse. I'm going to beat this horse until it's long after dead. It's actually a lyric I wrote, The Slumps, right? So, another thing. I made that video on Lungling. I made that video on Lungling. So, Youngling. Fuck, dude. I made that video on him, and I deep dove it on my Patreon, sourced it, blah, blah, blah. First of all, people in Reddit were very mad at me because I critiqued the Sad Boys. Now, here's the deal with it. The thing with it, that's very interesting is I started to think like maybe my critique was wrong because I you know, when people see the Instagram videos, they don't see the hours of research that I've put in behind the scenes. They don't see that. So they don't know, you know, so people are like freaking out in the comments. And the thing that, you know, was concerning me is like, maybe I was wrong, right? Because so the comments were like insane. But interestingly, the fuck enough, dude. Someone reached out to me, and his name is Edan Brooks. Okay. And this dude he was friends with Baron, the dude who was Young Lean's American manager. Okay. And he like managed a label, all this stuff. I break all this stuff down. And I'm not going to belabor this point too long, but long story short, this dude has a 12-part series on YouTube talking about his perspective on Baron's death and about what happened with Young Lean and all that stuff. And long story short, this dude reached out to me and basically told me I was pretty much right with what I had said. So to further clarify, what I had said was in the long theory, which people don't know about on Instagram because they didn't watch it, most of them, was I just thought it was weird. And the events that he says, okay, completely were, one, removed from the Vice documentary, and two, there's a lot of details that are incorrect in that Vice documentary and in the write-ups. First of all, the first one being, excuse me, when Young Lean was not in the hospital when he told Baron to go and get the hard drive. He wasn't in the hospital. That's the first thing. That is the first thing. He was at home, and he was not home. He was in Baron's father's apartment, and he was also cutting himself with a broken mirror and writing sigils on the walls, doing a seance while Baron got in a car accident. The other thing that someone's going to be very mad about this. One of the people, and you know who you are, and the persons who are watching this, waiting for me to say this, you know who you are as well. One of the people was a Xanax dealer. And that person got Baron to relapse on Xanax. And that is what happened. and then Baron crashed the car and everything else. Baron was sober from Xanax. Baron got in a car accident because he relapsed. And take that as you will. Take that as you will. The videos are on YouTube. I'm not going to link them. If you want to find them, you can find them. But my point is that video, that Instagram video had a big kind of impact on me because, you know, I do a lot of research that people don't see, people don't understand, people don't care. Really, they don't care. And people think I just like go on Instagram and I just say shit. I'm just like, and sometimes I do. I've done that. Sometimes I do that. But most of the time I really don't. And a lot of the things I do are much more calculated and precise than I think people would like to believe. And it's honestly better that way. It's honestly better that way because you can't always, not everyone can always know your next move. And I think the best way is sometimes, excuse me, is when I don't even know my next move, right? I don't even know what I don't even know, dude. I don't even fucking know it. But I think proceeding forward with the esoteric stuff, proceeding forward with everything in a manner that is going to advance the kingdom of heaven and advance truth. That's what this is. And if I'm ever wrong, I will come out and say flat out that I'm wrong. But there are two sides to every story, and it is what it is at that point, right? Like it is what it is. I think for every 450, there is one. And that's how we're gonna kind of proceed with that, right? So speaking of just truth and esotericism, the themes, the normal themes, I find it funny. Like, I guess Nas tries to figure out who killed JFK every year, which is so interesting and so funny, especially with the recent JFK release. That is, I can't believe they were involved again. Man, it's so crazy. It's so crazy how sort of one aspect of what Ian Ferguson, aka White Lotus of Light, always talked about that I never really kind of thought was accurate was sort of what he thought was going to happen with Israel, which is basically he thinks it's like everyone's going to turn on them and that like Trump is going to kind of just allow them to like die on the vine. And it's kind of looking that way. I don't know, man. Like, this show's not really politics. I don't really give a shit about politics. That's somewhere I personally believe that with my faith and everything that I should abstain from politics. That's why I don't vote any longer. I don't know. I just find that that whole thing like really, really interesting and really, really crazy. And speaking of Ferguson, we had the shift. Now, if you read my essay, it's on my Substack. That's where I'm going to be posting all of my essays. And I think that those are going to be free. Those are always going to be free because that is a specific type of information that I feel is like extremely pertinent to what we're going through and what's going on. But yeah, we did finally have the shift from the Malachian into the Luciferian consciousness. And I think what Ian's work was, White Lotus of Light. I've done 3 interviews with him now. If you haven't seen them, they're all on my Patreon. I think that his work is it was really good and it opened my eyes to a lot. And I'm really excited about where I'm at now. And I think knowing what I know now with the new Crowley being built by himself and unknowingly by others, I'm going to be diving so deep into that stuff And that being said, I am going to need a lot of prayer with that, because if you could see my eyes, it is heavy. It is very heavy, and it's very tiresome. It is very exhausting. It's a lot. So let's kind of shift gears here. So I said we're not going to talk politics, but I do have this one thing I just think is very interesting and very funny. There was this bishop, and you know me, your boy I'm a Cath, baby. I was going to be an ortho. I'm a Cath. And this bishop was really critiquing Donnie, Mr. T, Mr. Trump. And it was very bizarre. It was very bizarre. And I knew something was fishy about it. And now I know why. So let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and play this clip right here and get to the bottom of it. Here we go.
Remember her, Bishop Marianne Budde, who gave a sermon at the Washington National Cathedral the day after the inauguration, and in her prayer urged President Trump to, quote, have mercy on various groups, specifically illegal migrants. Well, it turns out that Bishop Marianne Budde's Episcopal Migration Ministries, EMM, during the Biden administration received $53 million from government programs for immigrant resettlement. And that is just 2023. The 2024 numbers haven't even been released yet. So my guess is she probably received back-to-back payments. And now it all makes sense why she said this in her sermon.
I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away.
She wasn't praying for them. She was praying for her bank account. You always have to follow the money.
100%. Always follow the money. I like the bank account. No, you know, this is the thing politically I will never be able to wrap my head around. And it's the left is so sad. Like, obviously being empathetic towards people in general is like a good thing, right? Empathy is good. You should be empathetic to people that are going through bad things, you know, immigrants, etc. But like, I just don't understand, like, Obama deported the most illegal immigrants of anyone ever. There's so many videos of him talking about it, and it's just like, why, like, these hang-ups that like they get about anything, like even like the Doge thing, right? Like the government corruption and ending it and blah blah blah, whatever. I'm not even like saying it's like, how is that from a, like, just like a framework, right? Like, we're going to end fraud. Like, people are angry about that. Like, it's just so, the whole thing, it's just so fucking crazy and so bizarre. It's such an energy suck. It's just fodder. It's like fodder for the sake of it. And it's, I don't know, the I can't even talk. I can't even fucking talk anymore. I can't even speak. Sickened. Absolutely sickened. But, yeah, we're kind of rounding this thing out here. I want to shout out Ewin Gaming Chairs. They sent me this thing for free, which is awesome because some of you might know I have like sciatica pain. I'm like getting fucking old. I'm like turning into a boomer. Like sciatica pain and shit. It's like fucking insane. They sent me this thing for free because I cannot afford one. Thank God. It is so much easier to sit in this than these plastic chairs I have in my home. Speaking of afford things, check out my website if you want some merch, ystar.online. I have my dude is working on some hats right now, and I have some new stuff coming. It's running like a clothing thing is like expensive. Like, it's just expensive. Everything's expensive. Everything costs so much money. It's like fucking daunting. And then the Patreon, patreon.com/Izzy and Griffin, where I do full breakdowns of all this stuff. It's only $5 a month, $1.25 a week. You know, I really was only going to do paid content. I really was. I was done doing free stuff. I just the 450, the 450 was starting to really like just weigh on me, and it's getting to be a lot. But this is my crusade, right? This is what I signed up for. This is what I said I was going to do, and this is what I was put here to do. So it you know, it has to continue. Also, actually Indie, it's getting fired back up. I have some cool stuff coming out with that. A lot of cool shit coming out here, man. Got a lot of cool stuff coming up for the future. It's going to be really, really special, really, really cool. But yeah, this is it. I think that this is going to be it. All right.